Hi, this is Julie Murphy with Arizona Farm Bureau, and this is our second Talk to a Farmer, Talk to a Rancher Friday. And my guest today, he's got some, in my book, Tim, he's got some local celebrity. This is Tim Downs, hunter and guide. Is that the way to say it? Well,
Correct.
you may be wondering if you're joining us live right now why we're doing it in the afternoon because, well, Tim was out scouting and checking things out and going out very early in the morning. And then I also had a hunter or rancher hunter that wanted to be interviewed on this day too. So it worked out to do it this afternoon. But for those that are joining us live, know that this is Julie Murphy with Arizona Farm Bureau. And that beautiful pan that you saw, that was from my partner in crime, Joel Carr. And we just witnessed, Tim, what did you call that?
Well, this is my trophy room, and
Okay.
these are part of the Arizona Big Ten.
The Arizona Big Ten. So what does the Arizona Big Ten mean for the uninitiated like myself?
We actually have 10 big game animals in Arizona that,
Okay.
that hunters can harvest.
Okay.
And there's not many states that can boast that they have that
Really?
many game animals.
So see, I didn't know that.
Right.
No wonder we love Arizona.
Yeah.
So let's do another pan and identify the 10 or whatever. So if we start that way over there.
So those are Coues deer.
Okay.
And the only place in the world you can harvest Coues deer is Arizona. They came up from South America, Mexico, and now they've migrated into New Mexico.
Okay. Okay.
And those are actually big Coues deer. They're a small, dainty little deer.
So that is one of the 10. And then if we go to the corner,
the buffalo.
And
Arizona has two places that the Game and Fish manages two ranches.
Oh, wow.
One up House Rock, up by the Grand Canyon, and one outside of Flagstaff.
So cool. And
then we have mule deer.
Okay.
That's a desert mule deer, and we actually have desert mule deer, and then we have the North American mule deer like Kaibab, the Strip.
Okay.
But that's a desert mule deer, and then we have elk.
And he is big. So was that I would have to.
He's a good one.
Okay.
He's a good one.
Anybody that's a hunter, you would already know this, and you're laughing at Julie, the interviewer, who's doesn't get it. But I can kind of identify that's a mountain lion right up there.
That's a mountain lion, and we actually have quite a few mountain lions in the state that wreak havoc on our game animals.
Yeah. And I think you said you've harvested 3 of them. And then we have another, buffalo here?
This is another buffalo. This is actually my son's buffalo.
Okay. And then behind us, what are we?
Well, and on the floor we have javelina.
And that would be part of that 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what's behind us?
That's actually a caribou that I took in Alaska.
Oh, okay.
This is another mule deer, but this is the North American mule deer.
Okay.
Which is obviously much larger.
Wow.
And we have turkeys. We actually have the Merriam's turkey. We have the Rio Grande turkey up in the north, and we have now the Gould's turkey, which is a desert turkey.
Okay.
And they basically roam the southern Arizona and Mexico.
Wow. That's
actually a Barbary sheep from New Mexico.
Okay.
And then that's a desert sheep above that. That's my son Ethan's.
Okay.
And
then this is your desert.
This is my desert sheep. So desert sheep's one of the 10. And then we have the pronghorn antelope.
And then you told me coming in that that's your dad's.
That's my father-in-law's ram. That's a Kofa ram. That's kind of where sheep hunting all started.
Wow. Yeah, and that's my first question basically. What inspired you? It had to be your dad, right?
Honestly, I didn't have any family members that hunted.
Oh, really?
It came from a high school coach.
Okay. And you went hunting with him?
He was an avid hunter.
Okay.
He wrote for the Mesa Tribune. Him and a partner started probably the first Arizona TV show.
Okay.
Called Arizona Outdoors.
Has heard of it.
This is back in the late 70s and 80s.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
I've even heard of that show. So, but it just, obviously your coach inspired that and you began this journey and, you've become pretty known here in Arizona. And again, for those who are joining us live, the reason I'm doing this whole series, I like to do a series because then I can kind of set people up. Well, it's my farmer, rancher, hunters. Well, you're not a farmer or rancher, but I had to, because my Bible study buddy, your wife, Brenda, I mentioned it, and then I don't know how I kind of put two and two together, but then I sent a text to my brother Patrick, and I said, do you know Tim Downs? And he goes, yes, I know Tim Downs. So you kind of have a little bit of a local celebrity. Talk about that. How did you?
I don't feel that way, honestly.
I know you don't say that, but like, why do hunters know about you?
I've just been in the sheep game for a long time. We've taken with many partners, obviously, but I've probably got over 80 desert sheep harvests under my belt.
Okay.
Started hunting. I didn't start guiding till 2010, but started hunting them back in high school with my high school coach and his son Kirby, and I. We palled around together and hunted together for a long time. But we would always find somebody who drew a tag and just go help. And
they wanted you when they heard that you could help.
It was just we were good at it, and we spent a lot of time at it, which anybody can be good at it. It's just you have to dedicate the time.
Sure. And be out there, and you have to be physical. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of, and I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that too. But the other thing that I feel like you tie in, you do connect with farmers and ranchers, and especially when you know it's going to be on it's public land, so it's multi-use.
Right.
So you as a hunter have permission, but you always like to introduce yourself to the ranchers. What's your motivation for that?
I do. I kind of feel like that it's their property, it's their land, and I'm a visitor.
Yeah.
So and I'm going to bump into them more than once. So I would like to reach out, meet them, introduce myself, and let them know I'm going to be using their, working their land, and if there's anything I can do for them while I'm out there, I always try to keep my eyes open for them.
That's
if anything happens, if I find lion kills their cattle,
you let them know about them.
I let them know about that and give them a GPS coordinates on that. Yeah. But just because today we just don't have the respect. A lot of the hunters don't have the respect anymore, and they litter and they leave gates open, and it gives us all a bad taste in a rancher's his mouth.
I would, and hopefully maybe this series can even help with that. But let's get into what you know. What am I looking at here? These are desert sheep, right?
So
yeah.
A lot of people may or may not know how to score sheep. One of the biggest questions I'm asked as a guide is, help me learn how to score a sheep. I drew a sheep tag. I've been putting in for 20 years, 30 years.
It's a once in a lifetime tag.
It's a once in a lifetime tag. Well, it's if you harvest.
Oh, okay.
If you don't harvest, you can go right back into the draw system.
Oh.
So once you harvest, you're basically done. You're
But it's hard to get a tag. I mean, it's hard to be drawn.
Very hard.
Right?
Thousands and thousands put in for 120 tags statewide.
Wow.
A lot of the units have one tag. Some of them have two tags. Non-residents are trying to draw these tags as well. So 10% is a max cap for a non-resident.
Okay.
So the unit has to have two tags for a non-resident to be eligible to draw.
But there are also, and you've helped a lot of these, especially because they're investing a lot of money, the Game and Fish of the different states will put a tag up for auction.
Correct.
So let's pretend that Julie Murphy had that kind of money to buy a tag, and that money is raised to help the environment. The Game and Fish uses that money to help that area, correct?
All the proceeds go towards that animal's habitat.
Okay, for that animal's habitat. So we may be looking at these skulls and you're thinking, oh, but the idea is they're taking care of wildlife habitat.
That's correct.
So let's pretend that Julie Murphy has a lot of money and I could buy one of these at auction. What would they be going for?
Well, year to year, it's different.
Okay.
And it kind of, there's a lot of variables. We'll be reached out to by people that have that kind of money.
Okay.
And we may have 4, 5, 6 of them that are interested in bidding on the tag in Reno in January. And they're asking me, you know, what have you seen? What do you guys got? So,
because you're always out there glassing and checking out. Okay.
And we pretty much roam around in, I'm going to call the best habitat in Arizona, which is the Superstition Mountain Range and the Canyon Lake area, Unit 22 and 24B.
Unit 22 and 24B. Okay.
Although all the units can produce some big rams.
Okay.
But traditionally, 24B is where the bigger rams come from.
Okay.
And so
because the habitat is so healthy, there's plenty of food. There's
the genetic strain of the animal.
Wow.
All of the above.
Okay.
And they manage the harvest, so they try to keep a good balance of class 3, class 4 rams, which is an age class of ram. And that ratio will generate, 1 tag, or the math works out to be 2 tags.
Okay.
So, anyway, but like I said, hunters will reach out to me and say, I don't know how to score rams.
And that means like
on the Boone and Crockett scale, these are actually 3 replicas.
Okay.
The middle one and the right one, both score 185.
Wow.
But
and that's a big score.
That's
what you told me.
That's the ultimate score. Every person that spends, like we got off topic of the range, some of them go for 250,000. Lately they've been going for 350,000.
Wow.
And you just don't know.
Yeah.
It's who's bidding on them. But the difference between these two animals, they get to that same number at 185, which is the Holy Grail. But they get there differently, and how do you figure that out?
Yeah. But you have figured out how to score, and because of your glassing and all that stuff, you can even assess from far away. You've been doing this for a long time, and you do it a lot. It's kind of like muscle memory. After a while, you just naturally know how to do it. So that's why they lean on you. It's like, okay, what's my potential if I invest in their habitat so that they stay a healthy is it a herd of sheep? Is that what they call it? A herd of sheep for that habitat. But I still want to invest my money correctly. That's
your money's all going towards the habitat of desert sheep.
Right.
The Game and Fish Department does a lot of work with installing catchments, water catchments. Yeah. They do it for deer, to elk, but they do it in partners with the Arizona Desert Sheep Society.
Okay.
And they raise a lot of money.
Wow.
And basically they're out constantly creating new waterhole projects for the desert sheep.
And ranchers also have, they don't do water catchments like the Game and Fish, but they have water tanks for their livestock. So
and that's another thing that a lot of people don't really look at is the positive impact that ranchers make.
Yeah.
They create roads and they maintain the roads.
Yeah.
And then the hunter comes in when it's muddy and they tear it all up. And now they got to go back out and fix it.
Yeah.
Lack of respect. But, they maintain the roads, they put in water holes. That all is habitat improvement for the animals.
That's funny you said the first point that you made was roads, because the rancher Ben Mingus today that I interviewed, he said 2 of the biggest things that we contribute to, this multi-use public lands environment is, number 1, we have water holes or water tanks, and then we also improve the roads.
Yes.
So that's funny that's the first thing you said. So anyway, these individuals, like, let's pretend the idea of me getting to spend $350,000 on something like this, I would want to tap into someone like you to make sure I was getting the most out of my investment. So I call up Tim Downs, and Tim says, well, guess what? 24B is looking really good this year, and here's why.
And we create a shopping list.
Okay.
And it's not me, I'm a team of guys.
Oh, okay. So what's the shopping list?
So basically we call it a shopping list or a hit list. So
I love that.
Some people don't like that. But,
I like it. A hit list.
So yeah, we have a hit list from 1 to 10.
Okay.
And they're buying the tag because they want to get that holy grail of a 185 number.
Right.
And we can say, well, we haven't seen one that's 185, but we've got some close. And it takes a lot to get to 185. But, you know, or we can have something much larger and then we can just take it down the list. So, and that list is also generated for us when we get clients in the unit, because we always have a client in 22 or 24B.
Sure. Okay.
If not multiple.
Okay.
So,
you know that, you've got to know that area like the back of your hand.
Pretty much.
Wow. What is it? So if you're going out to glass, let's say you've gotten the call, let's say I went and I bought one, and
or let's just say you drew a tag.
I drew a tag.
You general tag, and you drew unit.
And I didn't have to spend $350.
No.
Okay, so I drew a tag, but I want you to help me because I want to get this. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime tag. Once I've got it, I can't do it again.
Right.
So,
which
are you? Do you go out? Would I go out and I know I would have to be way more fit than I am now. Like, what's a typical day checking the unit out?
Well, you know quite in advance that you drew this tag. So, and I encourage anybody that's going hunting with us to, you know, get out, because, you know, once opening day's here, we do all the work up front, and most of our hunters are done in day 1 or day 2.
Oh, wow.
So you're going to have 2 days at best of hunting.
Okay.
Because like I said, we've already created a hit list, and we're going to go out, we're going to locate those animals and try to hang with them. We always can't. And if they get out of sight, then we roll around somewhere else and try to figure out how we can come in a different direction to locate. And if we try to stay on them, then opening morning, most of our guys are done.
Okay. So they should get out several times.
I encourage anybody who hunts with me, number one, you need to start getting in shape.
Okay.
Because too many guys might get out a week and start walking on flat ground, and they'll get out and hike one morning, and now they're sore, stoved up, and they can't get around anymore. So it's not the easiest country to navigate.
No.
And usually if we've got our ram located, you know, we'll try to pick the best route to get in there and get it done. But
so you say, what's on your list? What's on this hit list? I mean, what?
Well, it could be, let's just say 1 to 5 different animals, and we basically already located these animals in that particular unit.
Got it.
So we've picked out the 5 biggest rams in that unit.
I get it. Okay.
And then we decide to show the hunter, you know, and he says, yeah, I really like this one. And so we'll try to go and navigate and lock in on that ram. And that's our focus. That's our target.
Okay. So tell me about Elvis. I mean, we know about Elvis the singer, but we don't know about Elvis the ram. What's that story?
That's Elvis.
This is Elvis, and he was...
This is a live photo of Elvis that Mike Berm, one of my friends, took. He was king of the mountain.
Wow.
This ram was the largest ram. We killed him in 2018 with an auction hunter, and he scored over 190.
Wow.
Which is very unheard of. He had 41.5-inch horns. He was just an absolute beautiful ram.
I was going to say, in the picture, he's beautiful. Now, you have some, like, high-end wilderness photographers that go out with you as well.
I do.
Right?
Yeah, we're blessed to have some guys. And this is a cover of Hunting Fool.
Okay.
That's
Elvis.
The hunter and Elvis.
And did you anticipate that it was going to be a 190?
We had him in the upper 80s.
Okay.
We were debating the 90 number because
it was so rare.
It never happens.
Yeah.
So and that's another thing, another game that we play with hunters is we don't want to overextend the number so it's a disappointment.
Right.
I would rather come in under, which is what we normally do. We have what we honestly know what that animal's going to score, but together collectively we don't tell the hunter. We're going to tell him and bring it down a couple of inches, because we usually nail these things within 2 inches.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's just with your glassing and taking the time and knowing where to go? Because you can't get close to them,
no,
right?
no.
So
we're looking at these animals anywhere from 500 yards to 2 miles.
Wow.
And they all have a different horn shape. They all have different chips. And we'll nickname different ones, and that kind of sticks with them. So when we talk about a ram, we can just, say, hey, I saw this ram, or I saw that over here. And,
okay.
Just amongst ourselves, because we're not always out together.
Okay.
So
how often do you go out? And is there a season to this, or is it year round?
We pretty much scout year round.
Okay.
But the general season is, they do have some that vary where they've got more tags in a unit than the unit can handle, so they split the tags. They may have 4 tags and they go 2 and 2. Seasons start like middle of November. Generally, they all start the 1st of December. Yes.
I've been asking all my farmer rancher hunters what's one of their most exciting hunts or interesting storied hunts.
That's probably one for the books. I mean, honestly, there's so many.
Yeah.
I've been involved in so many world-class hunts, not just normal hunts, but I have just as much fun taking anybody out, and I probably enjoy taking kids and people out that don't know anything about it and that just drew a general tag.
Right. Talk about the physicality of it. One of my questions is, how important is it to be physically fit? And then, so what do you personally do to stay in shape?
I train year round.
Okay.
I don't go in the gym and spend hours and hours like a lot of people. But I do more things to keep myself mountain fit.
Such as?
Well, different type of exercises. I don't lift heavy. Everything I do is light. A lot of lunges. I like to push the weighted sled, push and pull the weighted sled. It really helps your knees, which is something that a lot of people don't do.
Yeah, I'm feeling it in my knees now, so obviously I need to push a sled.
Well, yeah, by getting your toes behind your knees.
Okay.
That's what strengthens your knees, and then you pull it all back together.
Okay.
It's awesome for mountains. But yeah, I spend a lot of time in the gym, 30 minutes a day probably. Good nutrition to help all that. I work with Wilderness Athlete. And I love their products. It's just, most of it's natural. There's no sugars.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stay away from sugar. You're eating a lot of meat, and
I run a clean diet. Although we all go out and do whatever, but
we all have our little treats.
But yeah, I eat a lot of fish, chicken, beef. I try to keep my diet to protein.
There you go.
I try to get most of my calories.
So you don't really have to worry about vegetables?
Well, I do.
There's a lot of my ranchers would rather have a steak and not worry about the veggies.
Yeah. Well, we always have a veggie and a potato, sweet potato, or something with our meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Talk about should somebody get ready for your hunts besides what you just described with eating right, exercising, staying in shape. But what are some of the first serious steps about just making this a good hunt, whether it's for the desert sheep or it's like...
Well, like I said, I've done this my whole life, and I've used almost everything out there.
Okay.
The products I use because they hold up, their quality, and they've never failed me.
Awesome.
So there's a lot of things, like I said, I work with KUIU. I love their backpacks, their clothing. All their clothing is basically for athletic and moving and constantly going and basically pulling.
Lift up that backpack.
Pulling the sweat away from your body.
Oh my gosh! And so that's what you have on your back every time you go out and you're glassing or just scouting.
But add 20 pounds of optics to it.
Okay. And then what's all this?
So
some of this has to do with gear.
So there's another local company that I work with, Phoenix Shooting Bags.
Oh, okay.
And they make a wide variety of different size bags.
That's where
this is a seating pad that they make, so
okay.
you don't have your butt on the rocks.
On the rocks. So this is can put the gun in between it, right? Is that what this is for? Or?
Yeah, and that's another thing that
ooh, I knew what that one was.
You know, a lot of guys they're good at the range, they're good on a bench, but when it comes into getting out there and then having to shoot severe angles one way or the other, and trying to set up to get the crosshairs so they're dead steady.
Okay.
Don't understand. Oh. I have that on almost all my hunts.
Okay. And this helps with that, is to your point, right?
Yeah. So I use the Muley Crazy bipod. All hunters should have a bipod, but this one comes off so I don't have to carry it.
I get it. Okay. And that's
so that supports the front end of the rifle.
Right. Okay.
So if the animal, let's just say, is severely uphill, I could raise this and then I can just bring this back underneath so that we can get everything set.
Okay.
Sometimes you're shooting down. This is where I'll throw my backpack in. And I may need to even come down even farther. This is where the Phoenix shooting bags are just incredible. Okay. And so, you can Google Phoenix shooting bags, and they're a local company.
Okay. We like local. I promote our local agriculture all the time.
Yeah.
So if most hunters that are gunning for this, the pun intended, these mountain sheep, they're probably maybe pretty good hunters, but are there times when you've actually had to set them up for their shot? I'm just curious.
There's a lot of good hunters out there that have never been on a sheep hunt.
And it's maybe they've
taken 10 bull elk, giant bulls in their life, and they've killed big coos deer. Some maybe not.
Right.
But I'm always there because all the work we put in, it comes down to one shot.
Yeah.
And you know, we do everything in our power to make sure the hunter's set up so that everything's perfect, no pressure, take your time, find him, get him in the right spot, and touch the trigger.
Okay.
So I do help or assist with the hunters, all of them, to get that shot.
To get the shot. And then, of course, they're the ones that take it, but that's got to be the most intimidating part of it.
Oh, and for sure, because not most hunters have never looked at a desert ram through their scope.
Oh,
and
because it's not a common hunt.
It's not a common hunt.
And the other thing is, this is why I know a lot of women that hunt. So this is just a Julie Murphy thing. My intimidation would be to have set up for all that and then miss the shot. But that's part of the experience. So if you miss the shot,
so let's just, for like a coos deer, you're probably not going to get a second shot.
Okay.
So with the desert sheep, it just depends.
Okay.
And that's one thing that I tell the guys is say, hey, if something happens and you miss, don't worry about it. Just recover. Go ahead and get another round in. We'll stay with the ram. He may not move. He may move 3 or 4 steps and stand there and look back like where the impact had hit. So
why doesn't he like flee?
Because they've never been shot at before.
Oh, wow. I'm learning so much. So I told you about my brother. He actually got one. And it's been several years, but he went out every week for a year.
Yeah.
Before he got it. And it was like a lifetime kill.
Yeah. So he was able to experience the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He told his wife, okay, I'm going to be absent on weekends a lot.
Yeah, good for him.
But this is and she was all in with him because, the whole process, the experience, and she knew that it was a once and a.
Yeah.
Once you get, to your point, once you get your tag, and that's the other thing, you just don't always get the tag. But this is so fascinating. Go ahead.
Well, generally, a guy draws that tag, and we kind of touched on the animal and the score and whatnot, but most of them's comments is, I don't want to shoot a little one. And they don't know the little ones from the big ones.
Oh,
and they want to try to achieve the older class rams and they're looking, obviously every hunter's looking for the biggest ram in the unit.
Right.
So
scarcity increases interest, and there is a scarcity issue with our sheep, and obviously it's managed by the Arizona Game and Fish, at least for here in Arizona, and so in New Mexico it'd be the New Mexico
correct
Game and Fish. But in terms of our population, and you seeing these desert sheep so often, and these rams, because it's the ram everybody's aiming for, right?
Correct.
Is our population good?
It is.
It's very stable and
right.
healthy.
And the Sheep Society with the Game and Fish, they do transplants.
Okay.
So they'll pull 20 sheep out of this unit that's doing well and put them over into a new unit to try to establish a new herd.
Okay.
And or just switch genetics.
Oh.
So they're not all having the same genetics, so they try to move things around.
They're not inbreeding, as
correct.
We don't want to happen. Pausing for station identification. This is Julie Murphy with Arizona Farm Bureau, and we're doing a live Talk to a Farmer Friday, where I'm here with Tim Downs, who's, in my book, is kind of like a local celebrity in at least the desert sheep arena. And Joel, I think somebody has a question.
Yeah, we had a couple of questions from here by Paul. He was wondering, where do you get the replicas from, and how would he get one?
Oh, cool.
And
Hi, here by Paul. He joins us very often. I appreciate you always coming in on the lives.
And his second question was, what was the name of the company you get your sugar-free meals from?
Oh, there you go.
Wilderness Athlete.
Wilderness Athlete, and then
their supplement company. I have my replicas made from a gentleman out of Tucson.
Oh, okay.
So I can get you his information.
Okay, and then I'll just have it.
You can reach out to him.
So, and it makes sense. For one, I thought these were real, but they're replicas. You said that earlier.
Yeah.
And as much heart and soul as you put into this, I can see why you do the replicas, because the real ram's head is going to the hunter.
It's his. Yeah, it's correct. His. Mm-hmm.
And so even though you have the excitement of doing so many hunts with an animal that's rare and once in a lifetime, and you only got to shoot your one,
right?
But you're participating in this whole exciting experience. Tell me a little bit about how people react to this, and like once they get that shot and they get their ram. I mean, what's it like? I'm sure
it's pretty emotional.
Yeah, I bet.
I've got a lot of guys that could be linebackers for football teams that break down in tears.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty neat.
It's pretty emotional. Yeah, it's a long ride, and some guys just want to come out and hunt, and I don't see them until the day before the season. I encourage you guys to get out 3 months and scout with me. Let me meet you. Let's hike. Let's shoot. Let's make sure you're dialed in with your rifle. Let's go look at a lot of rams, and so you can start to get an idea of what you're looking at.
Right.
I have fun with that.
Right.
So and most of the guys do that. And most of the guys that will spend that kind of time with us and get out and have a good time, we can't get rid of them.
Really?
They're back year after year, which is awesome because it's fun, because I could have 3 different years of clients that are all out helping us.
Oh, that's so cool. So in other words, they just go on the hunt to experience it again.
They're hooked.
Yeah, it's kind of like an addiction, it sounds like. So tell me, like, on average, how much you are walking to scout? Because I want to say that when I met with you and Brenda for breakfast that one day, I couldn't believe how much you walk in a given scouting trip.
Yeah, it depends on what part of the unit we're going to be in. Like sometimes we'll be scouting from a boat, but I could get dropped off and have to work up to some high points and look in some back canyons and things. I could walk today. I probably did 6 miles.
But still, that's good.
But we've done up to 12, 15 miles a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll go in and stay and then get to spend more time there and then back out.
And back out. Come back out. So I'm asking this question of all my farmer ranchers, and I would love your perspective as someone from the outside looking into agriculture. So my farmer, rancher, hunters, I'm asking, it's hard for me to find a rancher or a farmer that hasn't hunted.
Yeah.
Most of them
Most
do.
of them do.
It's
yeah.
almost like it's intertwined, or there's some kind of symbiotic relationship. What's your take on that? Why do you think most of our hunters and ranchers, our farmers and ranchers are also hunters?
I would say they're outdoorsmen.
Yeah, that's true.
They live in the outdoors. They work in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
They have a love for the outdoors, and that's just something that we all have in common.
Have you ever had any of your clients that you've helped with that actually were in agriculture?
I have a lot of friends that are farmers in Yuma.
Oh yeah, okay.
The Dailies are one of them.
Mm-hmm. Know them.
And
know who they are. Anyway.
The Yuma crowd. I really like everybody out of Yuma.
Yeah, Yuma is great.
It's almost like I equate it back, stepping back in time. They all live by the golden rule.
Yep.
And they're all just great people.
Yeah, that's true.
Good manners. But yeah, so I go out and help on a lot of hunts out in that country with those people. Yeah. Okay,
good. Well, Tim, this has been so fun. I so appreciate that. Is there anything that you want to bring out or point out that we haven't? Any other questions?
Okay. I guess two of the biggest things I'm asked constantly: how do I score a ram?
Yeah.
And how do you take such great videos? So
yeah, tell me about this.
We can start with rams.
Yeah.
So basically,
okay, you guys, listen in here because he's going to teach us how to score.
Number one, it's you have to get. I can look at a ram anymore, and I know the basic base measurements, and I know the basic mass measurements in the unit. But I can look at a ram and I can get 2 or 3, 4 different looks, and I can pretty much sum it up to what he's going to be within a couple of inches.
Wow.
These two rams both score 185. They get to that number, but they're so different.
Yeah.
This ram basically has 39.5-inch horns. This ram has 37-inch horns. This ram has 15.5-inch bases. This ram has 16-inch bases. So he carries this mass all the way through here, where this one starts out lesser and gets there, but the length gets him there.
Okay.
So there's some things that I look at, some subtleties. I always look. This is called overlay, and I always look. I love a ram with overlay like this that's come down. This one has it, but it's a lot like smoother.
Yeah.
Correct. This one here really has it. I love
definitely.
This ram. These are both 22 rams. This ram went 183 only because he broomed off a little bit on his horn. He would have been 185 too. I mean, you look at the two different animals, and they're so different.
When you say broomed off, it looks like one of his horns.
Yes. They knocked off the end of it.
Okay.
I mean, this one has a big open curl. This one has a tight donut.
Yeah.
This is one of the deepest dropping rams that we've ever taken. Just drops deep and comes back up.
Oh, wow.
So we look for length of horns. There's a lot of things that go into that. Overlays for one of them. The other one is we call it the donut. With the circle, the circumference of a perfect circle, I'm looking for, does he come high off the head?
Okay.
Or does he fall off real quick? You lose inches there.
Okay. You want him to come high off the head.
You do.
Okay.
So if he comes up high off the head, is he a quick turn like this ram?
Yeah, that's quick.
Is he quick, and how much turn up does he have? Or does he have an oblong curl? So does he come up high? Ultimately, you want one that comes up high and goes back a little bit, and then as he drops in, you're gaining length, which is what this ram did.
So in some ways, because of that, and you get so used to assessing that, sometimes you can have a quick assessment of where it's going to fall in the 170s or 180s.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's kind of some length things that I look for. Mass measurements. I'm looking for this flat spot up here.
Okay.
As you can see, the dimension of that flat spot versus the dimension of the flat spot here is different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at how much does he have there. I'm looking at the horn here. I'm looking at how wide that is.
Sure. Okay.
So, and then I have to always see what I call the bottom end mass. And then the flat spot rolls over the back of this, but I'm looking at how heavy he is here. So if I take this one, he's got a larger flat spot.
When you say flat spot, that's this right here.
This right here.
Okay.
And then this bottom end mass is giant.
Wow.
You can just feel that versus feeling this.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to score by the time this. I get it. Okay.
So that's things I'm looking for here is that I'm looking at for this flat spot here. I'm looking at how much he's got bulging back here. And I knew he had 16-inch bases when I saw this and I saw that. And then the length is always easier to gauge for us because we're looking for them subtleties. And then with the jaw, is he dropping below the jaw? Is he tighten up to the jaw?
Oh.
Whereas, like I said, these are 222 rams, and this one has such a tight curl that he looks a lot smaller.
But like your base that you're talking about and how it rises and how thick and heavy makes up for the fact that his donut is
and then length. And then he actually
still has a lot of length.
He turns up and flares out.
That's amazing. Wow. And
this ram's actually longer than that ram.
And you're not always going to get that with a bull, right? Or a male ram. It's not a bull, it's a ram. Right? I mean, are there a lot of rams out there that are just kind of little?
Oh yeah, genetically
140s or
okay. Absolutely. There's a lot of units in the state that only produce 150 class animals.
Okay. And it's still worthy because it's still a hard hunt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And I always tell the hunters, I said, don't worry about what the ram scores. Everybody's into score. Sounds weird coming from me, but I hate score.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just
But your clients have big demands and
correct.
Okay.
But I tell the guys, you know what? Go out, take your friends, your family, go out, have as much fun as you can, spend as much time out there with everybody, and roll around that unit and look at all the rams you can. Find the biggest one. That's your target. Kill it.
There you go.
Who cares what it scores?
Yeah. Yeah. So, the video aspect of it. You've always had people ask you about how to capture good videos.
So I basically roll with WeGlass with obviously tripods. This is a slick carbon. One of my favorites is the aluminum tripod from the Outdoorsman, which is another Arizona company.
Okay.
The Outdoorsman has, for glassing aspects, they developed this binocular adapter. It's got a little insert here, this post right here. The optics come in and they click in and they're locked in.
Okay.
So that's the industry leader right there. But that's how we mount our binoculars to the tripods.
Okay.
With the videoing, this is a pair of 15 by 60s Swarovskis binoculars, which is a 15 power. This is the Swarovski BTX system. This right here is basically a 35 power binoculars. With this right here, I can glass sheep 2 miles away.
Wow.
This system here, I can actually phone scope. Makes a phone adapter that your phone clicks into, and I can take that and put that on here, and I can roll video with that.
And then you just hit the button.
You hit that, and I roll video with that.
Wow. Okay. Joel is probably getting into this more than me because he's kind of the techie.
So the system that they've developed with the BTX is I can take that off and I can put on a 30 to 70. And this is what I do most of my videoing with. So phone scope, I switch that adapter for the BTXs and I can kick on one that adapts here.
And literally you just like set it up and then hit the button on your phone, the record button, and you're capturing video through your glass.
You can zoom in. I don't normally take a lot of pictures per se. I just do screenshots for pictures if I need them. I roll video.
Okay.
Because I would rather see the video because I'm there. Once I locate, I roll the video on the RAM. Then I can come back later and look at it, and I can get all the aspects of him turning and walking and doing his thing.
So cool. So we for all of us, when we get out there, even if it's just for the photography, we at least now know how to glass better, how to take better videos. And you know what? Maybe even I can score a little bit when it comes to the desert sheep. Any final comments, thoughts? Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And so what we do with these, we're going to save this on our Instagram account, obviously, but Joel and all his technical brilliance will also capture this video. We'll load it up to YouTube, and then we even share it on azfb.org. We'll try to make a point to get it. I'll send it to Brenda, and then she'll get it to you so you can see it. But it will be, and I'll tag you because it's just Tim Downs, right?
Well, it's Tim_Downs.
Okay, Tim_Downs.
In Gilbert. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'm a normal guy.
Yeah.
I help
You're
out.
a local celebrity,
I help everybody
but you're a
out.
local guy.
So, any questions about anything, hit me up.
That's awesome. Tim, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Very welcome. It's great to meet you.
And you, everybody that joined us, have a blessed day and stay tuned because we're doing this Farmer, Rancher, Hunter series all through the end of January.